Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be changing the outer tie rods on my 2005 Ford Ranger. The tools that you're going to need for this job are of course the outer tie rods that you're going to be replacing, a torque wrench, a socket wrench, a couple of sockets which are size 13/16, 3/4, and 7/8, regular wrenches which is size 13/16, 3/4, some needle nose pliers, a hammer, grease and a grease gun. I also included these jack stands here. Now those are optional, but I would highly recommend using those just for safety precautions. Alright, the first thing that we want to do is to get the wheel off. That way we can access the area where we're going to be removing the outer tie rod. Okay, now that we have the tire off, let's go ahead and take a look at where we're going to be working. Right now we're looking at what's called a castle nut. This is a cotter pin, and we're going to want to loosen up this cotter pin so that we can eventually pull it out and take this castle nut off to get to this part. This is the outer tie rod. As you can see, it's torn, which allows dirt and grime to get inside, causing friction and wear and tear so that these tie rods will eventually wear out. Take your needle nose pliers, kind of loosen these up. I kind of just stick my end like this through here, kind of jiggle it. I'll let you guys know when I get it out. Alright, I was able to successfully get this out, so now we're going to attack this castle nut. The socket that I'm using is a 13/16, and I have it on a 3/8 drive socket wrench. So let's loosen it up here. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. There we go. What you're going to want to do is take a hammer here, and we're just going to tap on this little part here. Just to kind of loosen it up. And then you see here, this doesn't have threads on it, and we're taking it out anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you damage it. So we're just going to tap here until it comes loose. So as you can see, I was able to pop it loose. Just took a little bit of elbow grease, a couple of persistent taps, and now we're out. Next thing you want to do is to loosen this nut right here. This took me a while to get off, but I eventually did get it loose. And the tool that you want to use is this wrench here. It's a 13/16 wrench, and you can kind of pry it open. I wasn't able to get it open, so I actually used heat. I used a propane torch in order to heat up the nut and break it, which eventually let me loosen it. Other alternative is you can grab a 3/4 wrench, and there's some grooves here on the tie rod, and you can use it as a hold. So what you're going to want to do is spin this tie rod, and you want to count the number of spins that you move it to the left. Now don't move the position of this nut here, this nut, because that's going to tell you where you should have your tie rod lined up. So let's count the spins. 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted 21 spins that it'd take to get this thing off. Now if you look here, you can see this cover is all torn up, so it's definitely time for replacement. Okay, so now it's time to install our new tie rods, and I purchased Pro Forged. I got it off of Rock Auto, and I didn't go with the OEM model because it didn't have this nipple. The reason that I like having this nipple here is that you can add grease to the tie rod and keep it lubricated. The problem with my old ones is that I didn't have that, so I couldn't add anything to it, and that's I think why they eventually wore out. So then you're going to want to put it on here and spin it the same amount of times that I did to take the original off, which was 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all right, 19, 20, 21. Okay, now let's go ahead and place the tie rod into the knuckle. Take your castle nut. This one came with my tie rod kit, and tighten it on just by hand. Once you do that, you want to grab this socket. It is a 7/8 socket on a 1/2 inch drive, and I'm using a torque wrench, and full disclosure, I actually don't know the exact torque that I'm supposed to have it at, but if anybody does find that out, that would really help me drive safer. But I'm going to set it to 55 because that's what some other guy did in the video, so we'll see how that goes. Then you take your cotter pin and you place it through this hole here, and it looks like, pretty luckily, I think it does fit through. We're going to grab our needle nose pliers here and just go ahead and bend that down and around. And there you go, we have it. We have just installed our outer tie rod end, and now we're going to put the wheel on and we should be good to go. One last note, just make sure that you grease it up. I will also include that at the end of the video so we can see that, and that way you'll have good lubrication during your steering. And don't forget, after you finish installing this tie rod, your alignment might be a little thrown off, so go ahead and take that into your local shop and get that aligned so you don't wear out your tires. Okay, next you're going to want to take your grease gun, place it on the nipple until you hear it click, and then just squeeze away until it starts filling up. You'll start to see the rubber expand. I put enough grease so that my sleeve looks like so. Some suggestions say that you want to put enough that you see grease come out of the edges, but mine's looking pretty fat and I'm pretty happy with it, so I'm going to keep it right there. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm going to be trying to put out more how-to videos, so look forward to seeing more in the future.